to another episode of the Chromebook Classroom. Today I am joined by the one and only Krista from the ELL team. Good morning, Krista. How are you?
Good morning, Trish. I'm great. How are you?
I'm great. I'm so excited you're here with me today. This is our first video we got to do together. And just for people who are watching, why don't you go ahead and just introduce yourself. Tell us who you are and what you do.
So I am one of the 3 ESL consultants, and my profile is I work with elementary schools and some junior high schools. I work with the newcomer class, so I work with the teachers over there at St. Alphonsus School with our limited formal schooling students, and at St. Catherine with their level 1 ESL classes.
Fantastic. And that's a huge undertaking because we know in our school division, just like many school divisions, we have a very large population of students whose English is not their first language. That it's not like, oh, do I have one in my class? Odds are you have an English language learner in your class if you are teaching, right?
And more than one.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. So one of the things that I love about your team, that I've just been consuming this like crazy. You've given out the 99 Ideas book to be able to support teaching English language learners. And I've just been loving every second because every time I see a strategy, I keep thinking, wait a second, but this would be so good for everybody. This is so good for everybody. Like, I know I'm planning this with my English language learners in mind, but this is a very UDL approach to teaching and learning, right?
Absolutely, yeah, and it is SIOP is benefiting not only your English language learners in your class, but also everybody, because all of the strategies support that learning in the classroom.
And so talking to strategy, I was really excited about today because I think it's one of those ones we get at the business of the day. Teaching is busy, and we're really quickly wanting to get to that next activity. But this is almost one that makes us take that intentional pause because we're actually looking at reviewing background understanding prior to being able to jump into activity and look at that assessment. Why is that so important, and what strategy are you sharing with us today?
Well, we have to think about our English language learners and not what they don't have, but what they do have, what they do come to us with. And so that's their own personal background knowledge, their own personal histories, and also what they have been able to learn thus far in the school year. And so we want to build on what we've done with them to increase what they're going to learn. We also always want to be focusing on content and language objectives. And so this strategy, this activity is called Take Part, and this activity that was done by a grade 7 teacher at St. Catherine School, this actually really shows you those content and language objectives and how we use them in our classroom, and she gives us a great example when she is communicating with her students of comprehensible input, and that is making sure that your students are understanding what you are trying to communicate to them.
And I love this acronym of this strategy because you're going to take us through this take part. Not only is it about participating in language, and I love that visual that word gives us, but it's actually broken down quite easily for us as teachers.
Yeah, so it's take part means preview, annotate, reflect, and teacher feedback. So the preview part of the lesson is reading the objectives together. Annotate is when students annotate throughout the lesson. So they're given something at the beginning of the lesson, and they may be just using their background knowledge from what they learned before to annotate. That might be a picture, that might be a piece of text, and they are annotating through what they know. But they know the objectives and what they're trying to learn. Then they reflect on what they have learned. So they annotate throughout the lesson, at the beginning, at the end maybe, and then the teacher provides them feedback. One thing that I think is really important is that at the end of the lesson, these annotations can be assessed. So in social studies and science, we often always assess with a test. And sometimes students can actually communicate in a different way, and especially our English language learners, we know that their speaking and listening comes first, so they might be able to talk about something where they might not be able to read questions on a test, and they might not be able to write about it yet, but they can certainly talk about it.
I love that whole idea. I love how you're reframing tests, because we're not saying you don't have to give an assessment, you don't even have to give a test. What we're saying is it doesn't have to be that print-based response when it comes to capturing and understanding. And what I love is in the book, they do talk about more that traditional method of the take part activity where we are using
Yes.
pencil to paper. But what I love about what you've done, and you've done this with real live students, this proof of concept, is that you've actually taken the power of our teacher Chromebook, our student Chromebook, and actually used technology to bring this to life.
Yes. Yeah. And it came very naturally. When I looked at this and was thinking, how can we put technology into this? This came to mind right away. So with the take part activity, you can use Screencastify, Mote, Talk and Comment, or Flipgrid to get your students talking. It's so important to get our ELLs talking, and all students talking really, but these are the different tools that you can use for that. And self-assessment can happen with a Google form at the end, and I'm going to show you that at the end.
I love this. So all those tools, just so you know, we've got videos for all those tools. They're so easy to use, all of them free, all of them possible on Chromebooks, all of them easy, but you're going to take us through what they actually did on these. This is just a set of Google Slides, right? And I'm already excited about that purple play button I'm seeing.
So this teacher, we provided these students with a content and a language objective. And the teacher taught this, went over this in class. She talked about what they were going to be doing and worked with the students. She didn't just put this on her Google Classroom and expect them to do it on their own. She went through it first. Then when she put it on the Google Classroom, it was reinforced, and the teacher had put these Mote recordings here. And we will talk about Mote at the end here. So
objectives. Content. Understand how the First Nations, French, British, and Métis people interacted with each other during the fur trade.
So I really like how this teacher spoke clearly and slowly enough for her students to understand, and that's using that comprehensible input. And when she is in front of the class, she is using visuals, of course, and using that pace as well when she's talking to them, so that we make sure everybody's understanding. She did the same thing here, so she put another Mote recording in here for the language objective, but those students are given those right from the beginning. So of course the language objective is orally describing those interactions using these 4 vocabulary words, and she is prioritizing her vocabulary. So she's not giving them 20 words to use, she's giving them the 4 most important ones. And so she did another Mote recording there, but we don't have to listen to that one.
I love how it just looks up on the page. Like, this is so great. Like how visual all of this is, and then also having the auditory. Like, this is fantastic.
Yeah, so then she asks the students, she gives them some instructions on how they're going to use a Screencastify, and she asks them to actually use their, put their camera on, but for this we didn't have them put their camera on because we knew we would be doing a video, so they did it without the camera. So she gives them the instructions again with the Mote here. And then the students at the beginning of the lesson try this. So I'll just escape and then I'll play our first beginning lesson.
In this picture, I see a map. Like, there's some animals over in Rupert's Land. There's some trading going on over here. There's an arrow that leads toward, like, some kind of ship. And then there's another arrow with a canoe. I think that's what it's called. And then it leads to the boat. And yeah.
Wow, how authentic. I can't get that with an answer on a paper. Like, I understand. That's so amazing.
He took that risk of using the word canoe that he didn't completely know. And this boy, he's a level 2 English language learner. So for his reading and writing, he would not have been able to write that down. Okay. But he was able to talk about it, you know, at his level. And yeah, he's not completely familiar with the word canoe, but he tried it, right?
I love this.
Then, so the students did that at the beginning, and then at the end, what I learned, so they have, you know, they go through a lot of lessons and they learn a lot about the fur trade. These guys actually made a game. They made a fur trading game. The students created that. This is a fantastic teacher. And then at the end, 2 students went together to create this Screencastify.
This is the British going to the Hudson's Bay Company to fur trade with the First Nations. One of the policies that the First Nations traders had during the fur trade was that that you could not overtrade, meaning that if you went to any other company to fair trade with them or to trade anything with them, that it would be the same prices no matter what or no matter which company you're trading with.
Oh, wow. Is it like, and look
So
at the
we
power of the
actually had,
posts. They're pointing to things. They're talking about things.
yes,
It's so great.
and then there was, I stopped it there because we don't have a lot of time, but they worked with partners. So a student who needed a little bit more support actually joins in and actually talks about mercantilism in there and uses the word mercantilism
Wow.
correctly. So it's pretty incredible. So they were able to, explain that themselves. So yeah. So they did that. And then at the end, they use this the take part self-assessment. And I just, I'll go here and put that into presenter view so that you can see it better. So these were some of the questions. So I can speak using Screencastify to describe the fur trade, and yes, no, or a little bit. I can use vocabulary words. Yes, yes, all of them. Yes, some of them, not really, but I tried. And then my strengths and the area where I need to improve. So some really good responses here too.
Wow.
Like where I need to improve is imagining how they lived and not using only notes, but my imagination needs to come and use it. So I just think like that's an incredible way of looking at your students' learning. So
And what
yeah.
instant feedback from the students immediately, real time, and just with these free and easy tools. And what I love is everything you're doing right here. We're in Google Slides. We know this is very, very common for our students to use day to day. It's a familiar tool for them. But you were showing how those slides are beautiful. Those purple play buttons couldn't be easier to create.
Yeah.
Being able to do the take part. Now I know you've said Screencastify. We saw the students using Screencastify, Flipgrid, Talk and Comment, Mote. Whatever gives us that audio and video opportunity. But you're going to show us just how easily this can be done.
Yes. So if you're going to use Mote, you can, if you're the teacher and you're going to put Mote in, and she would have gone in at the end after they did that final using their vocabulary, then she goes in and makes another Mote and says to them, I really like how you use this word, or I like what you said about this, or, oh, you were almost right there, but this is actually correct. So kind of can correct them. So for Mote, you just add the extension and click on Mote. You click to start and you just record yourself here.
Wow.
When you're done recording, you're going to click the check mark there, and it's just thinking.
You can
then you insert
it. Yeah, insert it. This is great. I love automagical. I was telling you before, I want more things to happen automagically in my life. But that play button is just in that bottom. This is so great.
It is. And to make it bigger, you showed me this morning. You are going to say Control Alt K.
I love that resizing tool. You can make it
bigger.
Nice on your page.
Yep. And also, I really liked that you showed me how we could recolor it here over on the side. I just always had purple Mote buttons. I never recolored. So
yeah, you can make it different colors. You could even change the image if you wanted to. If you wanted to click replace that image, you could search for something on the web, like number 1, number 2. You can, make it contextual. It's so great when we can do audio files.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's very easy to use, and the students very quickly, our English language learners, look for that. If you start using that in your slides, and really, if you have, level 2 English language learners, I think Mote is a great tool to use on any slides that you're putting into your
I'm thinking out loud here, but I can not only read what's on the slide, but I can also rephrase it and put it into more like common language or simple speak. Like I was thinking as you're talking through these slides, like yes, I can read what's on there. I can say, you know what, that's what this actually means, and I can
you could highlight
more, right?
You could highlight a word, and then you could define it for them in there, right? Like that's so that when they're reading it, if they just need that one word defined, you could put an audio recording of the definition in there.
What an amazing idea. I'm getting excited about this. I love this. It's just one of the 99 ideas. I know your entire team has been going through that book, trying to find how can we also layer on technology for our students to be able to support this. But, we want you to be able to reach out to Krista and her entire team. I know you've got a slide about you there, just being able
There's
to
my slide.
talk about who you are. Feel free to reach out. I know our entire ELL team is amazing at being able to look at these strategies and help every learner in your classroom. To be perfectly honest, we know that these tools are at our fingertips with our Chromebooks. So thank you so much for being here today and sharing
Thank
this
you for having
with
me.
us. We're going to have Krista's entire presentation will be below this video so that you'll be able to get a link, and we'll get you an example of one of those take part Google Forms to give it a try as well. If you ever need support with the technology or any of the strategies, feel free to reach out to any of us. We hope you have a wonderful day.
Bye-bye.